Trump is one of these people who I thoroughly enjoy listening to. I've seen him put out some very interesting pieces of policy that many people just call horrible, awful, all these things. And then you actually look into them and they're actually quite good. But one of the things I wanted to ask you about is you had dinner with him recently. Yeah. I'd love to know about that story. What happened? What's he like?
Yeah, so I've only told this story once or twice publicly before. So it's interesting. So back in December, I was doing an event with Turning Point USA, which is a college conservative group. And I spoke in the morning. And just as I was getting on stage, they announced that Trump was going to speak shortly after. So they canceled everybody else. So in effect, I ended up opening for Trump, which that's just bizarre enough in itself. But,
right, for the resume.
Yeah, Secret Service and the whole, the whole thing. And it's very intense. So before I get to the dinner part, it was also the first time that I ever heard Trump speak personally. So, I see the clips on TV, obviously, but I had never been to a speech. And one thing that I really learned from the speech is that in many ways, Trump is a comic. Trump, when he gives a speech, he's doing stand-up in a certain way, meaning that he has a set, he has, the prepackaged stuff on the prompter, but he goes off prompter and he works the room. That's what he's doing. He's doing crowd work. He looks in the crowd. He'll find people. He'll get people cheering, the whole thing. And there was a really interesting moment in it where he gets up there and he's talking about wind power. And he goes, I know more about wind power than anybody. I've been studying wind power my whole life. And the whole crowd's laughing because, of course, nobody thinks Donald Trump knows anything about wind power. But he's making a joke. And I turned to David, my husband, next to me, and I said, I guarantee you that's the headline on CNN. Donald Trump says he knows more about wind power than anyone, even though he clearly meant it as a joke. And then actually, for the few minutes after that, then when he got back to the script, explained a lot of things about wind power. Of course, the headlines, I don't remember if it was CNN exactly, but the headlines after, Donald Trump says he knows more about wind power than anybody. And it's like, man, you idiots fall for it every time. Anyway, later that night, we bumped into Trump Jr. there and his girlfriend, Kimberly Guilfoyle, and I've become friendly with Jr. and I've had him on the show. And he said, hey, would you guys like to join us at Mar-a-Lago tonight for dinner? And Mar-a-Lago is Trump's country club down in West Palm Beach. I said, yeah, we would like to do that. So we head on over, and Mar-a-Lago is kind of like, try to picture Trump in a building, like in building form. It looks like his hair, sort of. It's sprayed and it's golden and it's kind of over the top and the whole thing. We walk in there, security's moving us in. There's an initial dining room, like the main dining room, probably about 60 people or so. And I see Candace Owens there and a couple other people I know. And then they move us into the smaller dining room, and we have a four-top for the four of us, and we have dinner. And sitting literally at the table right next to us is Trump and the First Lady Melania, and Rudy Giuliani is there, and there's a couple other people. And by the way, this is like 2 or 3 days after impeachment was announced. And everybody on television is announced, Trump, the walls are closing in. He's a paranoid lunatic. He's losing his mind. All of these crazy headlines. The guy's sitting there. I was looking at him. He has no tie on. He's sitting there having a ball. He's laughing. He's chatting with people. Like, I didn't see any walls closing in. Anyway, we have a nice dinner. And at the end, Junior says to me, hey, you want to say hi to my dad? I said, yes, I would like to say hi to the president. So we walk up to him, and Don Jr. says, hey, Dad, this is Dave Rubin. He's got a great podcast. And Trump looks up at me, and he's like, I kind of recognize you. I recognize you. And I said, oh, well, I'm on Tucker Carlson a lot. And he said, oh, that must be it. And then he turns to David, my husband, and he says, and who are you? And David goes, well, I'm his husband. And Trump goes like this. He slaps his hands on the table. He goes, husband, that is just great. That is great. Honey, Melania, honey, could you believe it? These two guys are married. And then he looks at us and he goes, you know what your problem is? You guys are too good looking. That's your problem. and then he goes, I want you to know one thing, guys. I don't give a shit. And I don't think anyone's given a shit for 20 years. And then Melania was kind of looking at David. So he walked around the table, started chatting with her. And then Trump Jr. got pulled away. And then I had about 5 minutes with Trump. And it was right when Bloomberg was about to enter the race. And we talked about Bloomberg for a little bit. And he struck me as just he was a normal guy. When I said hello to him, when Junior introduced me, I said, it's an honor to meet you, Mr. President. And I could tell that by even saying that, if I had said, yo, Don, what's up? That would have been fine too. Like, I just think, I'm not saying the guy he's the greatest man on earth. I'm not saying he's the most honest person on earth. Politics is a dirty freaking game, and he's decided to play it. And I think your basic premise is right there, that the policies have been pretty good, and he's fighting a freaking monster. It's like, everyone thought the Republicans tried it the other way. They tried it with McCain. They tried it with Romney, you know, guys that are sort of more moderate, let's say, and decent. And those guys lost. So Trump was just like, all right, I'll do the dirty work. And that's what he's doing.
It's interesting.
But the idea that he's a homophobe or something like that is just
that's what I was going to say. It's interesting that he has to come out and say, hey, listen, I know you probably think in the back of your mind that I disagree with your lifestyle and the choice of your partner and this type of stuff, but really, I don't give a shit. You do you, baby. Whatever you want to do, go for it.
That really, even the way he said it, like try to picture, you know, like we can hear him saying a lot of stuff, but the way he said shit, like, I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Like even that was like, I think he really meant it, which by the way, it doesn't mean that he loves gay people. I don't think he has to love gay people. All anyone should want is equality. And let's not forget, this is the first president in the history of the United States to go into his first term basically pro-gay marriage. Barack Obama was against gay marriage his first term. So the reason we finally posted that story was because I was just like, you know, I hear this same stuff over and over. You know, he hates gay people. He hates black people. And it's like, it's just not true. I think the guy likes success. That doesn't make him great. It doesn't make him perfect. But I think he likes success. I think he likes people who are doing interesting things. And I think he likes people who have some kind of purpose. That's my temperature on it.